carry it off, too. That's a tall man. Thank you, Twala. We can stall and you can introduce your house guest.
Yes, yes, we'd love to. We have here tonight with us Michelle. She is our assistant town clerk. And so welcome, Michelle. She's
Welcome.
learning how to do
All right. I'll open up this town council meeting for December 19th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Look at that.
Perfect timing.
Perfect
Sorry.
You got your back.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All you, Twala.
Okay, so roll call. Counselor Albert,
Here.
Counselor Colby. Here. Counselor Crawford,
Here.
Counselor Lunt,
Here.
Counselor Ward,
Here.
Counselor La Rochelle,
Here.
and Counselor Brunel.
Here. You're doing fine.
The next item is good news and recognition, the music department presentation. Jonathan Carsley.
Good evening. I want to first start by thanking you all for allowing us to present tonight. I'm presenting on behalf of my colleagues Matthew Watrous and Jonathan Pollock, both of the music department. We went to Washington, D.C. in June 2017, the 15th through the 18th. This was a 2-year initiative we put together with help of many people, the Lisbon Music Department, the Lisbon Music Boosters, the school committee, the school administration, the facilities management team. There was a lot of partners from the community, parent and student volunteers, and of course the kids who put in the immense amount of work to prepare for this concert tour. So some of our objectives were to perform literature of a high quality in a blended ensemble. When we participate in festivals and go on tours, it's grades 6 through 12, band, chorus, and strings. So we blend the middle school and high school ensembles to make a much larger ensemble so that we can tackle more difficult repertoire and also fill in all the instrumentation, especially for band and strings, that the pieces require. We work collaboratively across many grade levels to prepare for the program. We expose kids, of course, while we're in the nation's capital, to a rich heritage, visiting museums, monuments, and historical sites. Experience artistic culture while in Washington, D.C., and I'll talk about that in a minute. And, of course, enjoy the art of making music as an ensemble. It's a passion for many of these kids, and myself included. I'm not going to read all these. I'm just going to give you the highlights. Of course, from an educational standpoint, I'm always asked, well, how does a concert tour meet your state and national standards? They do on so many levels. I'll paraphrase basically. We're hitting music literacy. We're hitting expression. We're hitting collaborating as an ensemble to bring to life an artistic work. We're talking about technique building. There's so many different points, and I've got them in your slideshow if you want to look at them. And of course, the one that people forget about is the interpersonal connections that these students are forming with each other. The bonds that they make will be lifelong. I still hang out with my high school band friends, and I still very much in contact with my college friends from the School of Music at USM. Well, the first day when we got there, after that lengthy bus ride, we met our tour guide. This is Ken Burns. He's a historian and tour guide, and we hit the Natural History Museum at the Smithsonian Institute. And I've let the pictures do a lot of talking because these are some of the sites that the kids took in while they were there. So this is the first exhibit hall that we looked at, which had whales and fossils and exotic fish from around the world. Then we looked at ancient cultures of Egypt, and I particularly like this photo here of the evolution of mankind. on the bottom right. The dinosaur exhibit, which was being renovated while we were there. You can see some of the fossils and interesting skeletal remains. And then the Hall of Minerals, and of course the Hope Diamond. Then we went to the U.S. Capitol. This is all the same day. And security is, as you can imagine, of top priority during these times. And then they saw the Hall of Presidents with a variety of statuary in there. And then the impressive rotunda. This is the Capitol's rotunda. And this is a shot from the outside. And this is us in front of the U.S. Capitol. Then in preparation for our performance at Iwo Jima, the students got to visit the U.S. Air Force Memorial, which was right nearby, and they were able to get into their concert dress to prepare for the performance. Really beautiful statuary. And this is Iwo Jima. This is us getting set up. Students take leadership roles, getting the kids tuned up, the percussion section set up all their own equipment. The sound equipment was provided by our tour company, so that's one thing we didn't have to take care of. That was provided for us by American Musical Salutes. This is our choir. Some more shots of the choir singing. And this is the band, and the band performed as we did a concert band set, and then the high school kids did a jazz and pop set. There's some more shots of the band. And this is Mr. Watrous and the string ensemble. And this is a beautiful shot of that historic moment of the raising of the flag. Then we went to the National Cemetery. This was an exhausting day. It was a very big day. And the students saw the tomb of the unknown soldier and the changing of the guard. The Eternal Flame, Kennedy's. And then to finish it all off, we had a nighttime tour of DC, and we started at the Lincoln Memorial. And they also got to see the White House before the sun went down, and the U.S. Treasury. And I point out every time I go to the Lincoln Memorial, the historic spot where Martin Luther King delivered his I Have a Dream speech, and there's the stone that I took a photo of at the top of the stairs. And on the same property is the Korean War Memorial. And then Dr. Martin Luther King, we did the following morning because the rain started coming down. And we had to cut our evening tour short. Some of the students got to see the Vietnam War Memorial before the sky opened up, but I was in the group that did not get to make it there. We had to run back to the buses because it was a torrential downpour. One of the quotes that I photographed here is actually text from the music that we sang. The freedom cry for the civil rights movement was called "We Shall Overcome." And there's Dr. King's quote, "We shall overcome because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." And the Jefferson Memorial, there's Mr. Pollock and myself, Miss Grace Tibbetts. And the next day we performed at the World War II Memorial. And I have a recording that I want to play for you. So while we were at the World War II Memorial, we performed a service medley honoring the different branches of the military. And we didn't know this at the time, but an honor flight of war vets pulled in just as we started to perform. And I've got some images of that. So this is the panoramic shot of the War Memorial. When we went to Washington in 2006, we went for the dedication of this War Memorial. We actually performed there. We were one of the first groups who did that. It was Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks that were the celebrity faces of this powerful exhibit that you see here. And we performed for the National Anthem Project, which was a national initiative to teach all children in the United States their national anthem, because it was slowly fading from the repertoire that was being taught in school. So this is a powerful shot, I think. And this is us getting ready. And you can see there it says Maine. That's our wreath there for our state. The band performing. And here's another shot with Mr. Pollock conducting. And here are the honor flight vets. It doesn't show up very well here. They're all wearing orange to distinguish that they're part of the honor flight. And it was a very moving moment because some of the vets, as you can see, were in wheelchairs. And when it was time for their service piece to be played, a number of them insisted upon standing to honor their branch of the military. A very powerful moment for people who have physical limitation, who were not going to be crippled into the chair. They wanted to rise up and show support. And this was our view from our performance space. I mean, money can't even touch this. I mean, it's just a powerful moment. And this is the string ensemble performing. And then I made a quote down here. The American Musical Salute and the Washington, D.C. Parks Division presented us with a plaque. And I'd like my students to come up here and hold the plaque for me. Gather over here, if you would. But of course, this is just a representative group. If you would step back a little bit, yeah. Representative group of our ensemble members.
This way, and the face of camera.
Yeah, the Park Service honored us with this recognition for performing in their space, and this is the 75th anniversary of World War II. So it was really a special time for them in D.C. and a special time to be representing the state of Maine for this event. And there we are holding our plaque with the Lincoln Memorial in the background. And if that wasn't enough, because that day was just so emotional, we went to the Kennedy Center and we saw a production of The Sound of Music. And if you ever watch the Kennedy Center for the Arts awards on TV, it doesn't do it justice. The space is incredible. And then we finished with drive-bys, basically, of the Washington Monument. And then we went to the National Zoo. And here's some sights that we saw. Beautiful exotic birds, zebras, tigers, lions. And we'd like to thank some folks that made this possible. First, the school committee, the town council. This is a very supportive community. I've worked here 15 years, and I have no intentions of ever leaving this community because it's so supportive. There's always help when needed. the school department, the administration, the facility management team, the Lisbon Music Boosters, and of course the students that put in countless hours preparing their music for this event, and the community members who support our every endeavor, and American Musical Salute and our guide Kenny Burns, and of course the National Park Service in Washington, D.C. for hosting us for this event. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you.
Well, thank you again for having us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, yes, definitely, thank you. So it's a quick turn.
You're up, Twyla.
Next item is the Main Heart Safe Community. It's a gold level designation for Lisbon Emergency, Town of Lisbon, and Town of Bowdoin.
Good evening and thank you. I'll let him go. That's kind of cool. Mike Robitel, paramedic, Lisbon Emergency. It gives us great pleasure and excitement to announce that Lisbon Emergency, the towns of Lisbon and the town of Bowdoin have been upgraded from a silver level to a gold level for the Main Heart Safe Community. Heart Safe Communities is a recognition based on the chain of survival, which has been implemented in other states to help improve outcomes associated with cardiovascular events. Its purpose is to recognize the excellent work being done by emergency medical services and programs throughout Maine, and to provide further opportunities to enhance community partnerships, resources, and services to improve, again, cardiovascular health, and to decrease death due to heart attacks. This recognition is awarded to Lisbon Emergency, again, at the gold level. We're one of 89 ambulance services to be awarded either silver, gold, or platinum. Less than 50% of ambulance services in the state of Maine will receive this award. So I would tell you that we're probably in the top 20 in the state based on the level being gold. It should be noted that this is not recognizing Lisbon Ambulance only, as it takes a team to make this happen. Lisbon Fire, Lisbon Police, the school department have continually stepped up. The school now does CPR training at all seniors, their bus drivers, their custodial staff, teachers. I don't remember. A lot. We'll take that program also. Lisbon Police and Lisbon Fire continually respond to cardiac emergencies to assist our ambulance crews. Years ago, we'd arrive on a scene, we'd do CPR until we were exhausted, and then we'd be done. Now, in this town, we're averaging probably 10 to 12 people on a response between ambulance, fire, and police. Automatic defibrillators are being deployed by our police department prior to our ambulances arriving and the fire department arriving. The police officers are initiating rapid CPR. And then what we do is we're changing out the sequence every 2 minutes. That is going to only enhance excuse me, our survival rate. About 1 hour before I got here, I was notified my crews in another community actually revived a person using an AED today, and that person's sitting up talking at the hospital. That's the third time this month that it's occurred for us. So we're really excited about that. On behalf of Chief McDonald and Lisbon Emergency, we'd like to thank the town for their continued support. A special thank you to Lisbon Police, Chief Hagan and his staff. I'll tell you a recent call that occurred 2 minutes after the call was sent out by the dispatch center. And it's imperative because our dispatch centers are given directions and instructions. This dispatch center receives a call, they dispatch it out. We had 3 police officers with AEDs on scene within 2 minutes. I went from my house 2 blocks away, and the first defibrillator was saying no shock advised. Our police officers were doing CPR right off. That's unbelievable that that's happening today. To the members of Lisbon Fire Department who respond with their staff, They are constantly assessing, they're helping us out. It's been a real good effort and team effort. The Heart Safe Gold Award is a combination of community efforts, and we certainly look forward to many years of sharing the recognition with this town and with the town of Bowden. Chief McDonald wanted me to describe what it would take to receive this award. I won't take long because I know that this is a holiday week and everybody wants to get that out of here. Sorry. So we do CPR training annually. Last year we did 15 different CPR trainings throughout. We do cardiovascular education. We do them in the schools, and we're doing them through the blood pressure clinics that we host at Midtown, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, the automatic defibrillators that are in your community. I can't tell you the exact number, but I can tell you there's at least a dozen or plus automatic defibrillators in the community. The rec department has staff that are trained. The town hall has an AED. The library has one. All of our schools have them. That's outstanding. We have them in different locations throughout the town. The community, the credit union over here has one, as an example. Our paramedics are now doing 12 lead EKGs. We can determine a heart attack in the field. So we're bringing you direct to the cath lab. The last patient was brought to the cath lab 5 hours later, was discharged from the hospital with a stent in his heart. Discharged from the hospital in 5 hours. Imagine that 10 years ago. Wouldn't happen, okay? All of our paramedics are advanced cardiac life support. We have 10 paramedics, and then we have mutual aid agreements with everyone else. And we're doing quality review throughout at the state level and at the county level. So we're very pleased to let you know that that has occurred. In 3 years from now, maybe we'll get the highest award, which is platinum, if we go 24/7 with paramedics. So we'll see. Thank you.
Congratulations. Nice work.
Next item, Twala?
Is the public hearing. The first public hearing is the liquor license and victualer's license for Brianna Bowen and Matt Rio, doing business as Angelo's Pizza, Lisbon.
I will open the public hearing on this topic. Anybody wishing to speak before it? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Oh, anybody? Absolutely. I spoke too soon. Come on up to the
Come on
podium.
up to the podium.
State your name too, sir.
My name is Christo Papalia, and I'm the owner of Angelos. I'm the lucky guy to do business in this town for 16 years. Thank you, all of you in the town of Lisbon, for supporting this business. And I was very lucky, very proud to serve here. And thank you for your support. So I built this business with my family. Of course, without these employees, what I have, I cannot build any business. I was very lucky on this one too. I have my employees for 15 years. I have those kids, Brianna and Matthew. Brianna was hired 14 years old. She didn't know to hold the knife when I hired her. And but she had the patience, I had patience too, and she became my manager. Now is 10, 11 years with me. Matthew Rio with me too, 10 years. They've been different peoples, and now they grow up. They are adults. They are very, very good and big heart peoples. And I decided, it was my proposal to continue my business. I trust them 100%. They know the business very good, like me and more. And I think in the town of Lisbon must be proud for their kids to continue on business, local peoples, and for local families. And I'm very, very proud for these kids, and I'm going to support them. How long I'm going to be around here, and I'm going to give them help as long I'm going to be around. I'm going to be behind them all my time. And thank you again for listening. And
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? All right, Tyler, we'll close.
Okay, and the next public hearing is a victualer's license for Rick George of RWG Holding Inc., doing business as Subway.
Anybody wishing to speak on behalf of this? Seeing none that time, we'll close this one, Twyla. Next item.
Is audience participation and response for agenda items?
Anybody wishing to speak before the council on anything on the agenda, please step forward. Seeing no movement, we'll close.
The next item is the consent agenda. Any counselor can remove an item if they wish. They may do so now. Seeing none. It is order.
Oh,
I'd
we're gonna
like to
take
make
one
a
out of
motion.
order, though. Is the motion to be out of order to actually go
Come
here?
right here. I'd like to make a motion to go out of order and go to 12 executive session now.
Oh, okay.
If you give
Okay,
us,
before you do the consent agenda?
please.
Yes.
All right. Is there a second to that? Nora made the motion.
I'll second it.
And Cassie Colby made a second. And all those in favor? 7-0. So we're moving to executive session. Turn the cameras off. So I apologize, Council Chairman. I had forgotten to ask or to read in your motion which section of the statute went with your executive session. So I apologize for that. But we can clarify that it was per 1 MRSA Section 4056C and A, which was acquisition of real estate, economic development, and personnel matters, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. That being clarified?
We are back to the consent agenda.
Okay. Any counselor wishing to have any item removed may do so now. Items removed from the consent agenda will be considered next. Seeing none, order 2017-305. Move to approve the accounts, municipal accounts payable and payroll warrants. Number 66 for $10,583.56. Number 67 for $9,851.52. Number 68 for $402,619.11. Number 69 for $2,565. Number 70 for $178,640.60. Number 71 for $17,905.77. The school accounts payable and payroll warrants. Number 15 for $2,444.22. Number 1031 for $360,506.12. Number 1032 for $13,013.28. Number 1033 for $332,941.15. Number 1811 for $208,297.12, along with the minutes of December 5 and the liquor license and victualer's license for Angelo's Pizza, plus the victualer's license for RWG Holdings Inc., doing business as Subway.
What she said. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Order passed 7-0.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Next item.
Under Council Orders, Ordinances, and Resolutions, Order 2017-306, the school's capital reserve request, cameras at Sugg Middle School.
Welcome, Mr. Green.
Good evening. Tonight you have a request in front of you to utilize the Capital Reserve Fund to upgrade and install additional security cameras at the Philip W. Sugg Middle School. This is a similar proposal to what we requested for the Lisbon Community School, and we'll be looking to do the same for the Lisbon High School. One thing I just wanted to share is that this is the quote is currently through the company that did the community school. When we went out to bid, we only received a couple of estimates. This company was the lowest, so we went again because the company was already in the building. We asked them for a quote. James is asking for some additional quotes, but one of the things that we'll look for is making sure we have compatibility. If we have one company, we don't want to buy 3 different systems. If we're exchanging parts and stuff, it's better to use the same system. And their bid, if you remember the quotes from the first one, quotes were their bid was much lower than the other 2. So we're hoping to increase visibility, and this will include add an additional outside cameras to the middle school, which we haven't had.
Any questions, Mr. Green?
I think it makes perfect sense to do this now.
Facilities committee's on board, that this went through there.
I
How'd that fly?
I don't think this went. I don't
Straight to
believe this
school
went
committee?
to the facilities. This went to the school committee, and it's based on again on the emphasis that we want to improve security, but also because of my concerns with some of the stuff that's going on over there.
You found that you
a lot
had
of
limitations.
I actually installed that system myself. 10 years or probably 12, 13 years ago. I bought it from Home Depot, so it's gone from
Right.
the old system to what it is now, but it needs to be upgraded, and we need to add additional cameras.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
at one point in time, we had talked about, at the facility meeting, about doing cameras down towards the,
Oh,
new
the
track.
fields. Yep.
Are these compatible? Is that close enough to do remote cameras down in that area and still working the same system? Or?
I can ask, but I wouldn't be surprised. This company does all. I mean, they're doing our outside stuff, and I think those are wireless, so we
Yeah.
could probably put in a system. But
Yep.
you're right. We did talk about putting down security down at that area.
It'd just be nice if that is in a close enough range to put a camera, just to overview that, just in case there was some other concerns, it would be actually
Yep.
still caught on the same,
Yep.
same screen. Just a thought, that's all.
Yep. No, we'll. I'm actually planning on having a facilities meeting in the near future, probably next month after the holidays, and then we can discuss that again and then go from there. Because I know there's a proposal for the Visual Performing Arts Center. There's some plans on what the next steps will be.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I need a motion.
Make the motion.
Got
Second.
my second.
Second.
All in favor?
Order passed 7-0.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next item 12?
Order 2017-307, the sewer department's request to reject truck bids and bid the truck again.
Ryan Layton, Public Works Director. I'm here requesting permission to reject or cancel the order, reject the bid, whichever term you prefer to use, for the order we placed on September 21st with Darlings, Chrysler, Dodge, and Augusta. At the time we made the purchase, there were some concerns about, when they had placed the order, they indicated there may be a delay based on the hurricanes that went through the south, and that's where the motors come from. He said he was still able to put the order in, so we felt comfortable that where it was a fleet purchase, that it would likely go through. We've been hounding him weekly for the last however many weeks that is. To the point now, he's indicated that if we want to cancel the order, then they're comfortable with that. At this point, I'd rather cancel the order and go out to bid, because I still don't have a VIN number to go with this, and it was supposed to be another 6 weeks after we got the VIN number. So at this point, I'm requesting permission to cancel the order and bid this out again.
Do we have any discretion in this where they're not able to meet the criteria to go to the next award rather than having to put it out to bid again?
I don't remember what the difference was, but
Difference was a few $1,000s, and quite honestly, based on the time of year, I'm comfortable going back out to bid just to see if we can get some prices.
Okay, that's
Model year
that was where I was where
changeover.
I was going with it. Is okay. 2-3 weeks to get an RFP out there on the street, get that turned around, get it to our attention to be able to do it. To be able to, you're 6 weeks out still.
Yep.
And I was trying to weigh whether it makes sense to wait the 6 weeks or go with what we got. But that's what I need to hear.
Chairman?
Absolutely.
He didn't actually, dealership didn't have a compatible product on the lot that actually, because there was no VIN number initially, so you wouldn't know the difference. It's just per spec, there was nothing available that he
Not,
work.
and the more he told me how little he was making on the truck, the more often I heard that, the more I realized that he probably may have even been dragging his heels anyway.
Might
just
not even been
because
sent out to order, is
I
that
don't
what you're
know if he
saying?
was,
Yeah.
fired up about it afterwards anyway, so, I don't know at this point, like I said, but, we need to do something, cause right now Mark Stevens is
Need a
waiting.
truck?
Yeah. Do you actually feel comfortable that if you go out with this price factor, knowing what you're getting information from him, that you actually get any bids?
I would hope that we'd get more bids, because we only got a couple the last time, and double our efforts maybe this time, and see if we can get some more bids. I mean, we only had 3, if I remember correctly, the last time, so I'd like to see that. And again, I don't know, you may know better than me, but at this time of year, they advertise pretty heavily. I'm not sure.
Trucks are a premium right now, that's the damn,
Yeah.
I mean, this is probably one of the harder times of year to buy a truck like that, from what I see on lots and from dealerships, but I was just kinda curious whether or not you actually had feelers that, out there that were giving
They
you an
tried.
idea.
I mean, that was one of their options that he threw at us, was if he could, and then if it was, could he throw, even if you had to throw some extra money at it when it came to that point, it was, well, no, because then we're back to, exceeding our authorization and.
Yeah, you got a bid with a price on it.
Right.
So that's an easy one. That's a no.
Right.
Simple enough.
I'm here.
Right. Okay, so you feel comfortable with that recommendation, best course of action. I was just trying to save you some time, because either way, you're
I
still
just-
6 weeks out, and we're
at this
6
point-
weeks into it for nothing. Right.
I mean, the big deal is at this point is we need to get something for the rec department for next year, because they went a whole year, unfortunately.
Still waiting. Make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Order passed 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, 12?
Order 2017-308, the highway safety grant.
Good evening, Mark Hagan, Chief of Police. So, annually, the Bureau of Highway Safety pre-approves non-matching funds to be used for enforcement grants on 4 separate topics, one of which is OUI, the other is distracted driving, seatbelt enforcement, and speed enforcement. So the town of Lisbon has already been pre-approved for, again, non-matching funds ranging from anywhere from $1,800 to $10,000 for one of the 4 topics. So what we're requesting permission for is to apply for, accept, and then use the grant money if we're accepted.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Order passed 7-0.
Thank you, sir.
Very much.
Thank you. Easy.
Next.
Order 2017-309, the CDBG downtown grant for Lisbon Village.
Tracy Stuber, Economic and Community Development Director. I had a meeting, as you know, we've got a lot of projects and things going on into the downtown area in the falls. Now it's time that we pay some attention and hit the other end of town. So in speaking with the state, I'm asking for council to set a public hearing date for January 2nd, I believe it was. And for that public hearing, it would be to designate an area in the village as far as for blight that would allow us to be able to go after another CDBG downtown revitalization grant. And for 2018, the dollar amount has changed. They're only doing one grant for $300,000.
So it's lower.
It's lower, yes, and that's the problem, is that each year, the competition is still going to be high for us, but we've had so many good things and positive things. The state has come down, they've looked at all the facades and everything we're doing. We're utilizing these funds. So it does help and put us in the position to hopefully get an opportunity for another grant.
I'll make the motion.
No, well, she hit my second question.
All right.
I want to see a map.
Oh, this is kind of brief. I've sent it out to the committee to try to get their thoughts.
Please.
I got time and patience. Just the one that you sent out earlier had the blight outline.
Yes, the outline is, and this kind of goes along with our downtown plan as well. And looking at the area, we go down to Memorial, and we capture Spillers, or now Chris's house, that corner. And then on the opposite side, it goes down MT Pool, so it's just before we get into the flea market, if you will.
Right.
Coming up to the other end, it goes to the yellow building, so we have like Gartley, and it goes to the yellow building, that's vacant, a lot of issues with that building as well, so we brought that building into it. It goes down to Village Street, continues that way, and then when we go on to Webster, it goes just by past the bridge, right in that area. So it incorporates like Farwell Mill.
St. Anne's Church is the cutoff going down Village.
Is that the
Sure.
first one or the second one?
It's the second one, the one that's coming down with the stair
Yeah.
right now to her.
And again, we can this hasn't been done, so the idea of it is you know, when I put it out to the committee was to get some thought. Yes, we can go into that. It was more of our planner, Ben, who worked with me on doing the map out of that based upon some of the other discussions that we have, but we can easily pull that in because it should be pulled in.
How far down 196 can we run that? Can we run that all the way down to the line? I don't know, I'm just asking that question.
Well, no, and the reason why is because you got to think of it as downtown.
Okay.
So you have to be careful how much you put into it as far as downtown. We're fortunate enough that we have 2 downtowns. I've been able to put that case to the state and with our downtown TIF saying, look, we have 2 downtowns, and the state has recognized that we have 2 downtowns. So with the CDBG, the Community Development Group, they had already said, yes, you would qualify for that. So the idea of it is we want to do as much as we can and think of the other way for that. For those properties that are further down near the town lines, we can do spot designation, where we can take a single building and do a spot designation, and we can pull that in. But this is more for a grant as a whole. What we'd be looking at for project is really tackling the sidewalks, doing something with the sidewalks, pulling out all those bricks and replacing it, as well as the lights. And Ryan and I had already met with CMP regarding the lights, and they've got some new lights coming out or LEDs. And so it's just really making that area be an area where people are going to want to come and start investing into that end of town. I'm already seeing it. We have a building that's been sold, and there's some other things going on that I'm working on, but at least there's a start. One of the biggest things of key in working with developers is that the community has to make that investment in the infrastructure things in order for other people to make an investment as well. They want to see that.
Any chance we can extend it out past Moody Road? Maybe as far as Littlefield Road?
We're going across from Dingley.
I mean,
yeah.
all I'm thinking about is the old landscaping that used to be Riverview Farms before that. There's that. There's a couple other businesses on the right-hand side there, too.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
I know we can do spot designation.
Yeah, and and sometimes that's better to do it that way as far as within the spot. If we get into things as far as like dangerous buildings and that, I mean, those are always what you can do for spot designations and see if there's funds available to help with the tear down, you know, of that
I've been
cost.
saying there's some buildings there that have been vacant for some time.
Yes.
That are not, they're not dangerous buildings in the other way. They've just
Right.
been empty for a while. They appear to be in good shape. They just don't have any takers at this point for whatever reason.
Right.
So I'm wondering.
Yeah. And again, that's something, you know, can kind of work on and see how far we can extend without, you know, pushing too far for the envelope. But I'm always willing to.
Well, I just
try.
thought we're spitballing here with
Absolutely,
this map, right?
absolutely. Yes, we are.
So-
Yes, we are. The biggest thing, just to give you an idea, is that the public hearing date I needed for January 2nd. January 26th is the letter of intent due, so that's why we need to get this all done. And then on March 30th will be the application due date, and that will be by invitation only. So it would be the same process as what we had done previously. But at least we have it on the dockets, and we have it. And before a question comes up regarding our other downtown grant, I've already taken care of that as well. So our downtown grant, we know we have a contractor that is going to start that project in the spring. Because we've delayed it due to another expansion of another development, and we've gotten more money, I guess, if you will, you know, for what we put in for the grant, the state has agreed that what we would have to do is ask for a waiver. So Diane would have to put together a letter and send it to the state saying, due to, you know, developer coming into the community, and that kind of delayed our project as far as going out, then by them accepting that, then that allows us to be able to go after this grant. So I've put that out there as well to get all that information.
You mentioned infrastructure and then sidewalks and drifted a little bit. And my concern being is I'd really like some assurance on not putting something down that's just going to be wiped when somebody actually comes in and has a different vision for that
Mhm.
area.
Yep.
That would be a concern of mine, is the fact that oversimplifying the 196 discussion, the fact is I'd like to have it actually be a little more sure associated with that. I know we're talking about a grant here, and where I'm going with it is I don't see it as 300,000. I know we committed 1.5 on infrastructure earmarked for that side of town. I'm looking at this with grant money that we're closer to $2 million to do something real on that side of town.
Mhm.
And I'd like to have it have some staying value. Because I agree with you. We have two downtowns. We need to have the resurgence on that side of town as well. Yes, sir.
The, one of the things that we had discussed that night in the meeting is there's a lot of factors in that when people are driving through would make a big impact, and some of them wouldn't be the idea. I do agree, the idea of putting fancy sidewalks around an empty lot, and I don't know whether they're gonna put yards or driveways. But the other factor that when you drive in, we actually, doesn't take a whole lot to look to see that we have a bus stop with no sidewalks going to it, and no crosswalks on that side of the road, so 300,000 could be, as we know from the other project, can get spent really quick. So just the idea is, as you're pulling up the intersection, having proper sidewalks and proper crosswalks. As you know, we're gonna have some fairly safe crosswalks down in Lisbon Falls, but if you look around that area, if people are traveling from the apartment to Firewall Mill to, if they're gonna go to Chris's place, it's really kind of a challenge getting across the road and down the road. So those are the type of improvements I think that the group was looking at, and this grant hopefully would go after, is the idea of tangible stuff when you're driving up the intersection. You see safety factors, you see functional sidewalks and bus stops. And
Well, even
that type of
within the
stuff.
lighting as well. I mean, we have very poor lighting in that area half the time, but they don't work. Right now, we just don't have the funding to be able to put in to do any of this. You had the storm. I mean, how many holes now are out there in the brick sidewalks?
This is
I'm
basically
sure
about getting you going for a grant, correct?
that is correct.
It's not about where
The-
we're gonna spend it yet. So I
The
think
cool-
that we're running for it.
Yeah,
So
the-
I think we ought to pull it back in just a little bit and say,
The cool thing I'm seeing is I'm seeing people actually not in the room as you're not slowing your rolls. So the fact is, they have heard it. I appreciate it.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Order passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I guess I gotta stay here.
That's right.
We're a bipolar.
I'm going away.
group.
Next order is 2017-310 Maine Municipal Employees Health Trust Wellness Grant.
Tracy Stuber, Economic and Community Development Director, as well as the Wellness Coordinator for the town of Lisbon. As you know, the town employees, we belong to the Employees Health Trust, which is through MMA, and by participating in the Health Trust, we have the opportunity for wellness programs. It also helps as far as within our insurance rates by having the employees do participate within the workshops. The Health Trust going up for the 2018, we get an award for $40 per year for each employee covered under the Health Trust insurance program. And currently, Lisbon has 49 health plan participants. So our grant for 2018 is in the amount of $1,960. So what I'm asking council for is for us to be able to continue with the wellness grant and to authorize for me to, or the town to apply and accept funds from the MMA or the Maine Municipal Employees Health Trust for the 2018 wellness grant in the amount of $1,960.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order passed 7-0.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Next item 12.
Order 2017-311 acceptance of Premier Drive and Champagne Lane in Kelly Park subdivision as town ways.
On page 50 of your packet is the warranty deed. And this is what we ended up with based on discussions and both attorneys, the town's attorney and Premier Development's attorney. What we have in here is just Premier Drive and Champagne Lane, which will include the sidewalks and all the infrastructure, which is sewer and drainage. We did remove the lighting, but I do have to say that that will be coming back at a later date.
For the purpose of what Mr. Kelly was actually looking for tonight, which is the street acceptance, it actually
Yes,
met his
that way we
criteria.
can start plowing and take care of
That was his issue to start the dialogue. Any other concerns, questions?
What about the gas lines?
That's not in here.
Oh, they're
Nope,
taken out.
that's
Okay,
all,
good.
all it is the roads.
Oh, this is the street.
Right here.
I'm not sure who this witness was, but
Yes, you do.
you would've thought there'd have been a name under it. Maybe people would know who it is, cause that you can't read. I know who it is.
You do?
Yeah, quite sure I know who it is. I'm not trying to be facetious by no means, but when you witness something and I'm pretty sure that's your wife that signed it on the other side, you ought to have your name underneath it so we know who you are.
Yeah, is that even a legal document without having the witness name listed underneath? I don't think it is.
What, that it's a legal document?
No, that it's,
Legally witnessed.
right, it's supposed to have the person who witnessed its name printed underneath. Cause that's just a scribble. I can't, that looks like,
I can have it put on the original. Our attorney has the original, and I can ask him to put that on there before it gets recorded.
We good?
You looking for a motion?
Unless there's any more dialogue concerns.
for the road acceptance as well, there's no, I mean, you can vaguely make it out, but if they could include whoever witnessed that one as well.
Oh, the notary?
The petition
Oh.
for
Oh,
road
the one
acceptance,
Right, right, right,
Yes.
the road
yes.
acceptance doesn't look like it
Page
was,
49 and 50, yes. Both of them.
That said, no other concerns, I'll take a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second. All in favor?
We're past 7-0.
Yeah.
Brian, is there any special precautions need to be up there because of the water location, as far as for salting or sanding or anything on those roads? I mean, is that anything that's, I was just kinda curious, since it's actually in that zone, whether or not the town's taking it over, if there has to be a special
No
precaution.
No different than being right there on Mooney Road,
Yeah.
where our filtration plant is, and there's two pumps, there's two wells right there.
Do they salt and sand right there? I don't know.
Oh, they go right by that, they go right by up on top.
26,
We're in the backyard, and we're in aquifer.
After town paying for Route 9, I was just kinda
Oh,
curious.
They have their association rules too as well, and since it was private before it became to us, what was a tie-in there, no, it doesn't matter, because once the town takes it over, I figured town government supersedes any sort of association piece, but I just wanna make sure that we have at least communication with the folks who live there, so they're not thinking they bought one thing and then all of a sudden they're getting something else, and then we get placed on the hook for that.
Need some of them people buying in there thinking it's privately owned forever, gated community of some sorts.
Sure, we just wanna make sure that Scott can communicate that clearly now that, we're taking that over. So when somebody's outside plowing and the old meep's going off at 2:15, we start getting those calls, it'll be awesome for everybody. Good time.
So we're fully capable of making it happen, right?
Yeah.
You gonna say it, Alan?
Next item,
Other business, council committee reports.
school committee, who's going?
No news is good news. I had a meeting, yesterday, it was short, sweet, and to the point, in the superintendent's office, so.
Planning board, they did the, meet and greet at, the auction company. Anybody, you wanna speak to that, mister? I know what the intent was, I think it was a pretty cool idea, so.
Don Fellows from the Planning Board. Well, the PCL, as you know, Positive Change Lisbon, was having an opportunity to meet with planners for the town to develop or to discuss the comp plan. And the Planning Board had asked that they make a special effort to meet with the businesses because we wanted more business input than we thought we already had. So that's what happened that night, and the Planning Board also was there, not formally, but we were there. And then afterwards, we had a brief meeting, basically to accept our minutes, and then we had Christmas. So was that, and it was a well-attended, and I think that of the businesses that were there, numerous questions and discussion. We had a couple of town councilors there, so it was a good session, and I think it's going to feed into the comp plan very well.
Thank you, sir. Water.
Water Commission did have a meeting last night. They discussed they're gonna have a rate increase hearing. I believe it's on February 15th. I'm not sure of the time. I think it's 5:30. That's when their regular meetings usually happen, but I'm sure it'll be on the website. Lately, we've been doing some directional flushing. Yesterday, they had a valve that would not stop leaking that ETTI fixed for us on the end of, or what is the beginning of Pine Woods Road. What else is there? Heater in Bauer Station was gone. We got a new heater there. And I think that's about it.
Thank you, sir. LDC.
Just briefly, the last meeting that Tracy actually called the group together to talk about the facade that you heard about tonight in Lisbon. It actually, there's a lot of good things coming up, and I know the group is very anxious after the first year to go start doing some neat stuff, so hopefully there'll be a lot more to come.
Perfect. Conservation, I attended their meeting just before this one. They're working towards education and planning for invasive species, meaning plant life in town. Certain kind of pine, not pine, maple tree. I apologize to Mr. Maine because I'm not remembering the name of it, but they will be part of our budget discussions and bringing that forward because they realize the funding is going to be something that requires an education piece for why it becomes a priority. So Mark is working with that group, and that would be my report. Recreation. County's done until, when you have county representative? Why don't you bring us a county report, sir? Absolutely.
Sure.
You're nickel.
My name is Isaiah Larry, County Commissioner, representing the towns of Sebatis, Lisbon, and Wales. It's basically been my first year here. Still plenty to learn, but wanting to continue to work with the towns and wanting to basically just check in with you, see if there's any questions you have. I apologize, I only brought 4. I should have printed more, but I did bring some copies of the budget.
Thanks, sir.
Basically, the increase scheduled, we still have to wait until next year for the state to approve the valuations or something like that, but basically we're looking at an increase for Lisbon's taxes of about $56,372.99. Not anything I want. I worked as hard as I could before we submitted the budget to the budget committee to try to find areas to cut expenditures as much as possible and work with dealing with duplicative services that are doing the same thing twice. I guess I did that myself right now, but basically trying to cut as much as possible. A lot of what I found was some historical hedging to try to be careful, and I understand from the perspective of the department heads of not wanting to be so razor thin that if something's wrong they're not able to fix it. However, looking at past history, I didn't see as much of a need for it as was stated, so what I told them was we're going to cut this and we're going to put this into a reserve. I didn't totally understand that process, so basically it's not a popular thing, but what I'm looking at is basically a $50,000 overlay to cover the $50,000 that I pushed for cuts in that would be there as a reserve because I didn't totally understand the mechanism to make that happen at this point. And then maybe hopefully next year, if we see that there's no need for that part, we can get rid of that. We do want to try to build the reserve as a county. We don't have much. My biggest concern is building up a reserve at one point and then having someone else come in and going on a spending spree. It's very easy to look great when you're spending somebody else's money and giving it in all kinds of great free services. But I'll stop talking. Do you have any questions? Is there anything as a county commissioner or as the county that your town of Lisbon is needing changed or et cetera?
Your concern associated with the overlay is actually a good one because your predecessors on the commission did just that. They're 2 years out from wanting to raid the entire reserves. So building it up to actually raise taxes and then just spending, as you would suggest, is the message they heard 2 years ago. So anything you can to keep on that, by all means.
Avoiding building a reserve because of
No,
that
no,
temptation,
it
but the other way
is,
around of
and
actually
our finance director will tell you, it is fiscally responsible to be able to have proper reserves. I mean, they were trying to take the best of both worlds to actually get out of a capital deficit they knew they had, but it was not sound business at all, knowing their plan was next year just to introduce not a 6%, 5.44 if I remember correctly. They were talking in some ways in the neighborhood of double digits. That's not something sustainable year after year.
We're trying to reinvest.
I mean, it was a whole different vibe this time around. So, it's 3 years out, we'd be having a different conversation. Year one after the legal lawsuit, it was still temperaments in the room that you heard clearly.
Somewhat, but
Right,
I'm
right.
glad it was I hadn't been there for the
No,
previous years, but I'm glad that it did not continue, and I think I could speak respectfully on behalf of the commission that we all want to keep it
Right.
that way. Every one of the commissioners had the same sentiments in that regard.
Yeah, we felt that vibe. Thank you, sir.
I have a question
Thank you.
regarding reserve, if you
Yes,
don't
sir.
mind, Tyra. I heard you mention it, so I just want to understand, I hear that talk of that the county doesn't necessarily have a large reserve or any reserve at this point. So, in identifying that there's a need for a reserve, what are the thresholds that you're setting, the county setting, saying how much do we want to set aside that's reasonable? Because we ran into this at this level a couple of years back where the previous finance director set a number that was very unrealistic. It was almost like we would have to raise taxes in order to meet this reserve threshold, which seems bananas to me. So I just want to understand that that's not the case, or at least understand what the process is.
And we don't have, I know there's been some numbers thrown around. I'm not certain, and I do apologize for that. I'm thinking it's probably, I'll probably be wrong, but I'm thinking somebody was saying 1 to 2 million. I mean, we don't have, I think by law we have to have 100,000 set aside, so we do that, but that's the max we set aside, and that for something as big as the county, the jail, Captain Shute, the director of the jail, I've been on a tour through there. I want to go on some more as well. Not as the president, but
Sure.
And he does a very good job, in my opinion, of keeping the cost down as much as possible. But we're also dependent on the state to be refunding some of this money and cost sharing, and their attitude has not been very helpful in providing those funds. So, as much as what I personally want to do as a commissioner is to flatline taxes, I'm not seeing how that's possible right now to be able to do that with the budget, but that's what my personal goal is if there's something that the towns are able to do, I don't want the county doing it twice, or the county paying money for a service, and then the town's paying money for a service. Personally support local control as much as possible. I'm not sure how to avoid someone else using that account and raiding it, but I agree with your concerns about not wanting to raise taxes to build a reserve, and I'm not really sure where I stand at this moment yet on what the best way to do it. And my biggest fear is you can be very fiscally responsible and then someone else comes in and looks like Santa Claus, and that's my real fear is we're going to save money and then we're going to turn around and someone else is going to look good wasting it. If you have suggestions, please, as well as, when we set the budget and stuff, please come, and here too. I mean, but we don't have a lot of public participation, but we do welcome.
I know that feeling.
Another thankless job. Keep up the good work.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you, sir.
I have something on the Water Commission after, something that I had forgotten. In light of Diane finding out some information about the charter and some language in the charter, Ken Wells has chosen not to resign, and he's going to continue to be the Water Commissioner until whenever their first meeting is in July, I believe. You know, I have something in there that I had forgotten about. So, that's how that was.
Nothing to report on the library?
Town manager?
Yep, last Friday, I went to Topsom to Priority Group, and Solidarity Group made a contribution to LACO in the amount of $2,500. So I went
Nice.
there to accept that check, and then I have since passed it on to LACO. It's much needed and it's very generous.
Thank you. Priority group.
We have the department head reports. Everybody's read those. Any comments?
Concerns?
Not so much concerns. Congratulations to Ryan McGee.
Ryan McGee.
Leadership in police organizations, completing that course. Fire department again, getting testing and equipment up to snuff, going into the fall. That's a big initiative on their part. And Kathy for winning a $500 scholarship to be able to use for education. Being able to get benefit, not coming here, I applaud her effort to be able to get herself in a course. Next, back to you, Twyla.
Okay, under appointments, order 2017-312, the planning board appointment. There are 2 associate seats open, one term to 2018 and one term to 2019.
They're actually, one's
What is it?
regular and
Oh,
one's,
is one regular?
correct.
And one's an
One's a
associate.
voting and one's an
It may-
associate.
it may-
One's a voting, one's an associate.
They're both associates?
Did we bump somebody up to?
That's what it was. Remember when
So we did.
when Mr. Neesall retired? That's when Dan Lehman went from an associate to the
So we
voting
did,
member.
yes, so they're both
These
associated.
are 2 are voting,
Yeah.
2 associate. So all that talk we had.
Okay.
Yeah, they're both associates.
I'm seeing the head nod. We can't, it's his committee.
Yeah, gotcha.
All right, we have a motion.
So there's, right. Again, these are non-voting seats.
Right.
Basically,
Okay, I make the motion to accept Eric Mativier and William Cool as associate planning board members.
I'll second that.
We need to, who 18,
That's
15,
fine, which gets, which term? I think we're gonna do.
19, 18. How's that? Does that work?
Which one is Mativier?
Actually, no, it goes the other way around.
Because
It goes the other way around. If it pointed 18, pointed 19.
Right.
That would be the way that would go. Correct.
So 18 is Eric and 19 is William?
Mhm.
Did I get it right?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, because that would also support a change when it comes to.
Yes.
I'll let you run your
that means the next seat that opens up here first. We know how it works.
All in
Any other discussion?
All
All
in
in favor?
Order passed, 7-0. The next is order 2017.
I know you gotta move it. I got you.
Hey, Tyler's on the next.
I'm feeling what she's putting down.
Order 2017-313, the Board of Appeals, 1 seat till 2020.
I make the motion to appoint Jesse Zach as a Board of Appeals member.
All in favor?
Order passed, 7-0.
All 3 players? here-
Congratulations to all, and
3
thank
players
you.
here tonight?
Thank you for volunteering.
Yes, all 3 of them are here.
Mr. Zach?
Yeah.
Nice
It's
to
gotta
meet you,
be, he's the only one in the room we really don't know who he is.
sir. You saw that. There was a question mark on the end of that.
Yeah.
That's why I said, yes.
We'd like to make a note here that they need to appear at the clerk's office to take an oath of office. So at some point, please do that before your next meeting. Thanks.
Thank
Step
you
to
now.
see Twyla. And as of the Water Commission, that's not even on the,
Be updated on that.
There's gonna be another motion from the executive session.
Council communication.
We're
No.
doing this motion.
No.
Oh, wait,
Motion.
my bad, I jumped the gun.
Stop at me. Okay, I move to make a motion to loan $146,940 with a 10-year term at an interest rate of 5% as follows. $100,000 from the IRP fund and $46,940 from the commercial loan fund to Jason Laverdier and Tyson Laverdier doing business as Flux Restaurant.
All in favor?
Order passed, 7-0.
hey, either one of you gentlemen wanna get up there and say something about it, or give us a little insight?
I'd like to take this time to thank each and every one of you for.
State your name.
I'm Tyson Laverdier.
Okay.
For giving us this opportunity and believing in us. We're really excited. We can't wait to become a part of this beautiful community, and we'll make you proud of the decision you made here tonight. So thank you.
Thank you for choosing
Good
our
luck.
community.
Thank you.
So we can't wait to have some food.
Where we at, Twyla?
Telling us about it.
Communications?
I jumped the gun.
Throw stuff at me.
I
Sure you go. I've been
I see you looking, go.
Yeah. As was stated last week, the Positive Change actually had an opportunity to meet with the planning board and the planners. It was actually a really neat night. There was a lot of business folks there. Chris was able to attend, which I thought was great. A lot of feedback from business to actually see what they see in the community and what they don't and what they'd like to have. I think it was really a informative night. There was a question posed that was actually kind of interesting that I had seen in a different event, and basically the question was to the business owners, if someone in the town actually got a gift of $10 million, where would you put it in your community to make the best impact? Which is kind of unique, if you got to think about that, because it does make you think what you would do, you know? Would you buy the waterfront, or would you actually do stuff? And one of the interesting things is, the majority of the people actually said they would actually improve our gateways, if you think about that. Going back to the Norm where he was leading earlier, it's the vision people have driving through town, will keep them in town. And so it's interesting thought, and as we move forward with, you know, the economic growing in our town, we got to keep that in idea that if we want people to stop and go to a new restaurant on Main Street, we got to make it inviting for people to do that and have them reason to stop, and I think that's important. So as we move forward, I'd love to see more involvement with the business community and with the town, and keep that vision moving forward.
Thank you, sir. Any other council communications?
I got one. I can't remember who posted it now. I think it might have been Councilor Crawford. But somebody, somehow, some way, I saw a Historical Society picture of our little old Main Street from way back in 1938. Black and white, and it was wintertime. And it looked very much like It's a Wonderful Life. It was very much Bedford Falls, kind of. And I was thinking about that gateway stuff, and it just, as much as it harkens back to a time that was a long time ago, it's still, you could see it. You could see that small town, and I could see it again. I think the thing that appealed to me the most is that my first night going to Frank's, I had to park up way up on Main Street because it was packed. I was walking down, and it was all lit up, and it really was exciting. So this kind of goes back to, we got another business coming in there. I would love to see us take this positive momentum that we have with this new council and take it and bring it to this side of town, and not just this Lisbon Village, like Councilor Show was saying. Look at our gateways and find a way to just keep expanding upon all these great things that all these people in this community have, whether sweat from their brow or with their own skin in the game through money. Let's find a way to keep doing that.
Anyone else?
Go Lisbon. On that note.
Right. Next item, Twyla.
Audience participation for new items.
Anybody having anything to come before council on that topic, come forward. Hearing the chirping, crickets, we're moving on.
Have completed the executive sessions earlier, correct?
We have.
And
I'll-
adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Yes, 7-0.
Thanks for coming out tonight,
Merry
folks.
Christmas, people.
Yes.
I have
Merry
one.
Christmas. Happy holidays, Hanukkah, and all that other stuff.
I can't even.
There's a long story behind that.
Whole backstory.
I saw that and I was like, that's Chris.